Good morning, guys. Welcome to Mug Briefing. Microsoft has just put a clock on a piece of technology that quietly runs a huge amount of corporate email behind the scenes. And for a lot of organizations, that clock is now impossible to ignore. In simple words, Microsoft says one of its older connection systems for Exchange Online, called Exchange Web Services, or EWS, is heading toward a firm shutdown. Companies have about a year and a half to move off it before it disappears from the cloud version of Exchange entirely. This isn't a rumor or anonymous sourcing. The timeline comes directly from a February 5th, 2026 post by Microsoft's Exchange team on the company's official tech community site. Microsoft says that starting October 1st, 2026, it will begin blocking EWS by default, tenant by tenant. A tenant is Microsoft's term for an organization's cloud environment. Then, beginning April 1st, 2027, EWS will be permanently removed from Exchange Online. After that date, there is no re-enable switch. This is not the first time Microsoft has warned customers that EWS would be retired. The company has been signaling for years that developers should move to a newer system called Microsoft Graph, which is its modern cloud programming interface. What changed this week is that Microsoft attached hard dates and a structured shutdown process. It is no longer an abstract future retirement. It is now a scheduled transition with deadlines. The way the shutdown works is gradual, not instant. Microsoft is adding administrative controls that let organizations temporarily keep EWS alive for specific approved apps. One control is called EWS Enabled Tenant Property. Another is a new App ID Allow list, which lets administrators explicitly name which applications are still allowed to use EWS. Microsoft's guidance says that any organization that needs EWS after October 2026 should set EWS enabled to true and populate the allow list before roughly the end of August 2026. If they do nothing, Microsoft will automatically flip their tenant to block EWS as the rollout reaches them. On April 1st, 2027, even those opt-ins stop working. What actually breaks when EWS is blocked is not everyday email for normal users. Regular Outlook mail, calendars, and mobile sync continue through modern systems. The risk is to behind-the-scenes tools, backup software, archive systems, automated mail processing, scheduling bots, identity connectors, and custom scripts built years ago. Microsoft has not published a global count of how many organizations still rely on EWS, but industry administrators say it remains deeply embedded in legacy enterprise workflows. The disruption warnings you see in IT coverage are predictions based on how widely those old integrations still exist, not reports of current outages. The dates Microsoft published are presented as firm targets. Companies always reserve the right to adjust roadmaps, but the language in the post frames April 1st, 2027 as a permanent removal, not a soft goal. Microsoft is also positioning Microsoft Graph as the long-term replacement. The company does not claim every feature parity case is perfect today, but it is clearly signaling that Graph is the supported future, and EWS is technical debt it intends to close. Why do this now? Part of the reason is modernization. EWS was designed for an earlier era of authentication and security. Maintaining older interfaces increases complexity and risk inside a massive cloud platform. Microsoft has been steadily pushing customers toward newer APIs that use more granular permissions and modern security models. From a business standpoint, consolidating around Graph simplifies engineering and lets Microsoft evolve Exchange Online faster without carrying legacy code indefinitely. The timing suggests Microsoft believes most customers have had enough warning and tools to migrate, even if some have postponed the work. The benefits and risks are unevenly distributed. Microsoft gains a cleaner, more secure platform and tighter control over how apps interact with Exchange Online. Vendors that already migrated to Graph are in a strong position. Vendors still tied to EWS, especially backup, archive, and niche automation providers, face pressure to ship replacements quickly. Large enterprises with dedicated IT teams can plan migrations methodically. Smaller organizations with limited staff may feel the strain more sharply because auditing and rewriting integrations takes time and money. For most American office workers, nothing changes day to day. Email keeps flowing. But inside IT departments, this is a significant workload event. Engineers must inventory which apps use EWS, coordinate with vendors, test replacements, and schedule cutovers. That means real labor hours and budget impact. Some companies will pay vendors for upgraded products. Others will rebuild internal tools. Those costs are part of the hidden infrastructure spending that rarely makes headlines but affects corporate technology budgets. Investors tend to view moves like this through two lenses. On one hand, forced migrations can create short-term friction and customer complaints. On the other hand, modernization strengthens the long-term durability of a platform. This is not Microsoft abandoning Exchange Online. It's the opposite. It's Microsoft standardizing the foundation it wants customers to build on for the next decade. What happens next is predictable, but not trivial. Over the coming months, Microsoft says it will release the Allow List tools and reporting features so administrators can see which apps still call EWS. Vendors will race to publish graph-based updates. Some smaller tools may fail to migrate and quietly disappear from the market. As the October 2026 rollout approaches, IT forums will likely fill with last-minute troubleshooting from organizations that delayed preparation. Microsoft could extend timelines if disruption becomes widespread, but there's no promise of that today. It's important to understand what this does not mean. Exchange Online is not being shut down. Microsoft is not exiting email. On-premises Exchange server installations are not part of this retirement. Older apps do not stop working tomorrow. This is a staged transition with more than a year of runway, designed to give organizations time to adapt. The seriousness of the story would increase if large enterprises begin publicly reporting outages tied to missed migrations, or if major vendors say they cannot technically replace their EWS features. Those would signal a gap between Microsoft's roadmap and customer reality. For now, the key signal to watch is whether Microsoft adjusts deadlines, publishes usage decline numbers, or adds more transition tooling as October 2026 approaches. In the broadest sense, this is a reminder of how cloud platforms evolve. Old interfaces eventually close, new ones replace them. Microsoft is telling customers clearly and on the record that the future of Exchange Online runs through Microsoft Graph. Organizations that depend on the old road now have fixed dates to find the new one. The story is not about email disappearing, it's about the maintenance work required to keep the digital infrastructure underneath modern business moving forward.